Hey, how's it going, guys? We are live. Give me 1 second. Let me tweet out the stream, and we'll jump into it. We have interesting two-game slate. These slates, I always talk about it, but don't go crazy. They're super, super high variance. And again, I know I sound like a broken record here, but the value, not great. I guess a quick recap of last night. My 50-50 decision with Caruso Rondo could not have gone worse. If I had Rondo in my lineup, I would have cashed. But went Caruso. Caruso finished with 10. Rondo finished close to 40. Sometimes it's like that, and that's just the tilting part of DFS. You make a 50-50 choice that goes the wrong way, and it's like that bad. Kuzma was really good. He only played 21 minutes. And Kuzma had like 25 fantasy points. He was on pace to have a really good game, but they brought in Markieff Morris to close because he was like shooting absolutely lights out. That's basically the look back, or I guess, of yesterday. I don't think we have any starting lineups news yet. We're still waiting on Jokic confirmation. We have the Raptors starting lineup. Again, same lineup they've been using. We don't have Jokic confirmation yet. I think it's like 95% chance Jokic plays, so wouldn't really be super worried about that. Obviously, if he misses, then there's just completely changed the slate. Jake Anderson, the $5 super chat. Let's get it, man. Let's have a good Monday. This is an interesting two-game slate, but thank you. Really, really do appreciate that for you coming and supporting the live stream. All right, I know you had a good day last night as well. Congrats on that. All right, so Boston, Toronto. We have a 213 over/under. Celtics are 2-point favorites. Clippers, Nuggets are 221 over/under. Clippers are 9-point favorites. So the upside might be a little bit higher on that second game if it does stay close. But still, like the price tags aren't amazing. On like Kawhi's over 10K. You have almost 10K Jokic. You have 9K Jamal Murray. Once again, I think the price tags look better in the first game. But we've seen, like, the first game, they're two really good defensive teams. There's not been a lot of points scored. Like, the total has been around, like, 200, it feels like, the last few games with that first game. Paulie B with the $10 super chat. Wow, man. Thanks, DK, for all you do, buddy. Michigan love. Thank you, man. I know you've been on an absolute tear. Hopefully we can keep it going tonight. All the Michigan love, and thank you again, man. Seriously, you guys are the best for coming in and supporting me. That's a look there of those of the Vegas odds. So let's talk about this two-game slate real quick though. If you guys are in the live stream, or if you're new to the live stream, if you enjoy it, would really appreciate it if you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Closing in, or not really closing in, but getting close to 5,000 subs. I think we're at 4.72 right now, I believe. All right, so let's start with Boston. Boston's a team that one more Dawson Wright with the $2 super chat. Drop a like. Hey, appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yes, if you guys enjoy it, please hit that like button. It really does help me out. And thank you again for the super chat. But back to Boston. So Boston's a team that I think is going to go pretty low owned today. At least the main three guys with Tatum, Walker, and Brown. It's setting up for, once again, the Toronto guys to be chalk, and I agree with it, right? I just think the Toronto guys look slightly better, the guards, for their prices, with Lowry and with Fred VanVleet. So I think those two, plus Paul George or Jokic, that's going to be your chalk spend-ups for the day. So, the Boston guys are going to go a bit overlooked because their price points aren't amazing, right? 9-3 for Tatum. Hasn't really paid off his salary except for, what was that, first game? Or the second game he went for 55? Other than that, 36, 37, and 40. His price really hasn't moved. He didn't even have a bad shooting day there, 10 of 18, and still only put up 40, which is a little bit worrisome. Now, the minutes were 43, which is good to see. So right now, Tatum's a contrarian option. Full disclosure, I'm going back to the well just because I've played him so many times already. He's kind of let me down. That's just kind of like a Karis LeVert thing, right? In the first round against Toronto, I just had to keep playing him. It's kind of the same thing with me. I would not be able to live if I fade Tatum and then he goes off today after I played like the last three slates. So I know Tatum's overpriced and he's not your optimal play. again, your optimal plays are probably the 2 Toronto guards and then one of Jokic or Paul George. I think those are the top spend ups. So Tatum is definitely contrarian. I think he will be 25-ish% about what he's been this series. If he has a good shooting day, though, the upside is there. So you're not getting him a discount. Again, I think he's contrarian play, but definitely still viable. Kemba and Jaylen Brown, I still prefer Kemba Walker. He only shot the ball 9 times. He said himself he has to come out more aggressive. So I don't think he's going to shoot 9 times again. I think he's going to, this game, come out a lot more aggressive and shoot the ball more. He played 41 minutes, too, which is really good to see. He just, again, only shot 9 times, which really, really surprised me with Kemba Walker in 41 minutes. I would not expect that again. Like, he had a good game. He just was not being super, super aggressive offensively. So I prefer Kemba to Brown. The floor is higher with the assist. Now, Brown was a guy that was chalk that last slate and busted. And I ended up making me cash in the small tournaments, but I missed by 1 point in the $100 tournament because Jaylen Brown was so chalk that really helped me out. He's going to be super low owned on this slate, I think. I think he'll be below 20%. I do prefer Kemba Walker. Again, I think the floor is a little bit higher. Not saying Jaylen Brown's out of play, but he would be my third option here of the 3 guys for Boston if I had to pick. Marcus Smart at 6'5" is the stay away for me. He really, really needs a game where he has like 3 blocks and 3 steals to really get you there for his price. Like, he's probably not going to kill you, but I don't think he's going to break the slate. Now, every once in a while, we will get like one of those big games from Smart, but normally that's when he's like running the point guard if like Kemba's out or like someone else is out. Like, I just don't know if I see the upside in 6'5" Smart. So I'm probably going to pass. He has been getting some decent ownership. Personally, I would rather take a shot on Lou Williams for, I think, $700 less and hope he gets his close to 30 minutes. Because I just like the upside more in Lou, and he's cheaper. So, yeah, Smart's not a guy I'm going to get to. Tice at 5'4", 25 to 30 minutes, 20 to 30 fancy points. That's where you can get a Daniel Tice. I think he's fine. Not my favorite play, but if you land on him, it's okay. Robert Williams is the one that intrigues me here at 3.8. He came in early in that last game. I don't know if you guys saw. Tice checked out like 2 minutes into the game. Wasn't even in foul trouble. And Robert Williams played really well, but then only played 2 minutes in the second half. So how many minutes are we going to get from Robert Williams? That's a big question. I think somewhere between 10 to 20. I think it's in that range. If he gets closer to 20, I think he can definitely have a good day for his price. And with there being so little value, you have the value plays, in my opinion, if you're looking for like, or I think the top value would probably be Robert Williams, Pat Beverly, as gross as that sounds, and JaMychal Green. Right? It's an absolutely gross slate because that's the value we have to pick from. Now, sure, you can maybe throw Gary Harris in there too. Those would probably be the 4 value guys that I would consider on the slate as like really, really cheap options. Williams is, again, he's a really, really productive guy. It's just the minutes are somewhat in question here. So it's a riskier play, but if he gets those minutes, I think he can definitely get you there at 3.8. And that's really it. Like, Wanamaker's not a guy I'm going to consider. He'll play 10-ish minutes, not enough at 3.4. Grant Williams will play 15-ish, not enough at 3.3. I'd just rather take a shot in Robert Williams for a little bit more and hope he gets extended a bit. Semi Ojeleye, don't play him. He'll play 10 minutes. I know he had 13 fantasy points last game, but do not play Semi Ojeleye. So that's really what I got for Boston. This is, I think they will be the lowest owned team on the slate. Them or Denver. There are some decent plays, though, in Denver. A guy like Millsap will get to. I think Jokic will get some ownership. So I think Boston might be the lowest owned team here. Again, of the 3 main guys, for the prices, it's probably Kemba, then Tatum, then Brown for me. Smart's not a guy I'm going to get to. Tice is fine. And then Robert Williams intrigues me, but a little bit worried about his minutes. Let's talk about Toronto now. So this is a team I feel pretty comfortable targeting. The minutes have been absolutely insane. They're basically running a 7-man rotation. Lowry, VanVleet, and Siakam will all play over 40 minutes unless one of them get in foul trouble. 8.2K. Lowry is going to be a lot more popular than Fred VanVleet. Personally, I'm playing them both. VanVleet has not shot the ball well yet this series. 3 of 16, 8 of 22, 9 of 22, 6 of 19, and has still put up basically 40 fantasy points every single time. If he has a half decent shooting day, he can definitely break the slate and go for 50. So I like both. If you're going to make me pick one between Lowry and Van Fleet, well, Lowry's going to be a little bit more popular. So I would take the ownership in Van Fleet. They're two almost identical plays, right? They do it all. The minutes are almost the same for both those guys. They're very, very similar, and we have very similar plays. I'm always going to go with the one that's going to be lower owned. Van Fleet will be lower owned. Full disclosure, though, I am playing both Toronto guards. I think they look like two of the top plays. Once again, I know I've said that last 4 slates with this 2-game slate, but I am playing Lowry and Van Fleet again. Siakam's at 8-1. I have no issue to get to Pascal Siakam. The minutes he played 46 minutes. So, again, they're insane minutes on the main 3 guys. I just slightly prefer the guards. Now, if you want to go on the guards and Siakam, that's fine. Siakam, I think, will be the lowest owned of the 3. He has been the last 3 slates or so. I think the ownership will go Lowry, then Van Fleet, then Siakam. Don't really have an issue with any of them. I told you guys what I'm doing. I'm playing the 2 guards, but if you get to Siakam, I don't really have an issue. I just think I slightly prefer both Lowry and Van Fleet to Siakam. Ibaka's at 5'9". He's a contrarian play for the reason of just the minutes aren't there. Now, if something happens to Gasol, if Gasol gets in foul trouble, then you could have Serge Ibaka break the slate at 5'9". But you really need that. Because other than that, you're going to get 22 or so minutes from Ibaka. Now, he's a really good point per minute guy, but in 22 minutes, he has to have an insane day, insanely productive to break the slate. Right? So he is intriguing, but a contrarian play. You really need something to happen to Gasol. You really need that foul trouble. Other than that, I don't think Ibaka is going to go crazy in 22 minutes. He's been a really productive guy, but where you really do need something to happen to Gasol for Ibaka to really have a good day. OG Anunoby's at 5'7". The minutes went down on him, which did concern me. 45 2 games ago, then down to 35. So that's a big hit for OG. He was not a super high usage guy. The reason I liked him two games ago is I thought we were going to get at least over 40 minutes. 35 is not great. Not bad, but when you're paying 5'7", he seems all right. Again, you have very similar plays in the mid-range. Going to have to make some tough calls. If you have Tice, you have OG, Marcus Morris, Jeremy Grant, Paul Millsap. There's a group of guys there, those forwards in the mid-range. 5'7", I don't think OG is going to be super chalk. I think he's a decent play in the mid-range. I don't really have a strong take here. Gasol's a 4-4. He'll play 25 minutes or so. Low usage guy, but with there being so little value, I think he's slightly safer than a guy like Robert Williams. Because you know Gasol is going to play about 25 minutes unless he gets in foul trouble. Whereas Robert Williams, those minutes aren't necessarily guaranteed. But if Robert Williams hits the higher end of his minutes, he will obviously probably outscore Gasol. So it's a tricky one. If you're going for the safety, it probably is Gasol. I think 15 to 25, that's where he'll get about for fantasy points. So, yeah, I think he's a fine, safer value play, I guess, if you call him safe. Powell at 4K. He's actually got ownership the last few slates. The minutes did go up to 19. Still shot the ball terribly, but he is at a playable price point. If he comes out the bench, and shoots well, they will extend him a little bit. The range of outcomes, he can play 25 plus minutes, but he has to shoot the ball really well at the bench for him to get those minutes. So he intrigues me. He's been terrible the last 3 slates. Absolutely terrible. 5-11s and 6 fantasy points. The floor is super, super low. It's a super, super risky play, but he's a good shooter, right? We've seen upside games from Norman Powell. Now, sure, that 44 fantasy point game, you had Lowry injury, Van Fleet foul trouble obviously helped, but he is a guy that has that type of upside, right? 37 there against Brooklyn, 29 and 23 minutes. He can have a decent day, but it's a really, really risky play. And that's really it. Davis, maybe Matt Thomas plays a few minutes, but they're basically running a 7-man rotation. Let's move on to the Clippers. Kawhi, there's no way I can prioritize him at 10-3 in the slate. So he's a contrarian play, like a Jason Tatum. They're guys that it makes it hard for you to get to them with there being so little value. And I know he shot the ball terribly. He still put up 45 fantasy points. He shot 4 of 17 and put up 45 fantasy points. So the upside is really high in Kawhi, and I like him as a contrarian play. It's just you have to sacrifice a lot to get him in. And with there being so little value, that it makes it difficult to get Kawhi and then feel comfortable with what you got. So I like him, obviously, but it's just what do you have to sacrifice to get him in. So he's a contrarian play too. Paul George is going to be your chalk spend up for the Clippers. He just is. He'll probably be 40 to 50% owned, 8.3K. Like it's easier to get Paul George than Kawhi Leonard. Now Kawhi definitely has more upside, but it's a 2K discount. So Paul George is going to be popular today. Again, I think Jokic will get ownership, and I think the two Toronto guards will probably be the highest owned stars on the slate. And I agree. I think Paul George is a lot easier to get in your lineup at a 2K discount. He's been up and down the playoffs, no doubt about that, but it's just a salary thing with Paul George. So I think he's slightly more of your optimal play compared to Kawhi Leonard. Now, that's not saying Kawhi's out of play. And Kawhi is 100% in play. It's just you're going to have to sacrifice a bit more to get him in. Now, Lou Williams at 5'8", I've been going back and forth on this all day and what I'm going to do with him. I have him in right now, and I'm really hoping Doc Rivers doesn't screw me. But the first game, he was probably on pace for close to 30 minutes. The second game, he played 29 minutes. If we're going to get that close to 30 minutes, I think he's a good play. Right? I would rather play him than Marcus Smart because I think the upside is higher on him. He can break the slate. He's a guy that can go for 40+, for sure. And you're not really getting him at a great discount, but for all the other options in like this price range, the mid-range, I think Lou's the guy that has the most upside. If we're talking about like the 5 to 6K like mid-range, yeah, I think Lou is the guy that has the most upside. It's just hopefully Doc Rivers doesn't screw me here, but I'm going to take a shot here on Lou at 5'8". The last time I played him, he played 17 minutes in a close game. 17. So, yeah. And then 22, obviously the blowout, but his minutes have been a little bit up and down. I'm just hoping he gets close to 30 minutes. If that's the case, I don't think he kills me. I think there is potential for him to have an upside game because it's in there. Lou Williams has that potential. Marcus Morris was pretty popular. I liked him the last slate. He busted. I'm fine going back to the well here. You have a group of guys in the mid-range that I mentioned that are fine options. His ownership's going to drop. He had a bad day, 31 minutes, 14 fancy points. Other than that, though, he's been a really consistent player in the playoffs, so you have him, you have Tice, you have OG, Jeremy Grant, all similar plays. Again, I don't really have a strong take with those guys, but I think Marcus Morris is a decent option. I think the ownership does drop. Zubac, what's gonna happen with this big rotation? I have absolutely no idea. They have Zubac, they have Harrell, and they close the game with JaMychal Green. Is that going to happen again? I have absolutely no idea. It's Doc Rivers. And this is why that makes the slate tricky, because these value plays, the rotations are all over the place. The minutes are all over the place. He played 24 the first game, was on pace to probably play close to 30, and the game blew out. The second game played really well, but only played 20 minutes. They finished it with JaMychal Green. So what are the minutes going to be for Ivica Zubac? I don't know. I think somewhere between 18-ish to 30. If he hits the higher end, this is like a similar play to Rob Williams, right? If he hits the higher end of the minutes, I think he can have a really good day for his price. Like the upside is there. He's a good point per minute guy. It's just the minutes are not secure right now. I don't know if he's going to close. I don't know if they're close with JaMychal Green again. They could always close with Montrezl Harrell. So it's a tough one. Harrell's a guy I'm going to avoid at 4 or 5. I think the only way you target him is if you think the game blows out, because you're not getting him at enough of a discount at 4 or 5 for me to consider him. I would rather take a shot on Zubac. I'd rather take the shot on Zubac and hope that he closes the game, because I don't see the upside right now in Harrell at 4 or 5. Pat Beverly's going to get ownership because there's no value. Again, him, I think JaMychal Green, I think Robert Williams, and Gary Harris are probably your top value plays. He got ejected late in the game last game. I think somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes from him. He's a decent fantasy point per minute guy, even though he was terrible the last game. Yeah, he's playable. He's playable for sure. He's a guy that can get you some steals. Doesn't really have to score to get you there. That's really what I got. He's going to get ownership because there's no value on the slate. And same thing with JaMychal Green. He will also get ownership. I played him the last slate. Got a bit lucky. I did, because they closed with him. 26 minutes, 25 fantasy points. If he sniffs close to 26 again, then he's probably your top value play. But I don't think that's locked in. I think there's a decent chance it could be Zubac. Maybe an outside chance to close with Harrell. Right? So what is Doc Rivers going to do? Again, I have no idea. But Green's playable. I think his range of outcomes for minutes is probably low end, like 13 to 14 minutes. High end, like we saw last game, 25, 26. So another guy, like a Robert Williams, like a Zubac, the minutes are in question, but if he hits the higher end, if you guess right and he hits the higher end, he's a guy that can definitely have a decent day for a guy that if he plays 25 minutes. Reggie's not a guy I'm consider 3-5. Neither is Shamet. There's not playing enough minutes for me to consider him. Sure, Doc Rivers could throw a wrench in there and give them more minutes. I would not be super surprised about it, but I'm not willing to take the risk on this slate. Finally, Denver. So Jokic, wrist injury. Again, I fully expect him to play. Not super worried about it. If surprisingly, if he does get ruled out, then obviously that changes everything. And you're going to want probably Millsap. You're definitely going to want Mason Plumlee. You're probably going to want Jamal Murray, and then maybe one other piece. It would be a full-on Denver stack if Jokic gets ruled out. But I think it's like a 1% chance he gets. I fully expect him to play. So he's going to get ownership at 9-7. He is the safer option, and you know where the offense is coming from. It's Jokic. It's Jamal Murray. Jokic is safer. He does it all. Rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, and score the ball, whereas Murray, the floor is low. So if you're going for the safer spend up on Denver, it's definitely Jokic. Again, I think the chalk spend ups are going to be Jokic, Paul George, and the 2 Toronto guards. I think he's the safer option for sure. Again, wrist injury worries me slightly, but I'm not putting a lot of. I'm not really worried about it, to be honest. Fully. And then Jamal Murray's at 8-9. He's your riskier option, right? You know where the offense is coming from. It's these 2 guys. Jokic is safer. Murray, the floor is low. But with MPJ being so limited in this series, they have no one else that can score the ball. So it's got to be Murray. It's got to be Jokic. Not really getting Murray at a discount, right? But I think he's in play. He'll be probably the lowest owned star on this slate. He'll probably be 10%, I would say. 10 to 15% maybe. So don't rule him out. He's just more of a contrarian play. Grant's at 5-2. The minutes will be there. He had 4 blocks and 2 steals. He's not going to get that again. So the floor is probably 15. The upside is probably 30. Don't have a strong take. He's fine. Again, him, Grant, OG, Marcus Morris. You have Tice. Put those guys in a group. I don't have a strong take on them. I think they're fine if you land on them. MPJ, the minutes are just not there on him. They're just not. 16 the last time out. He was really good in that time. I think there's an outside chance he could get extended because you never know with Mike Malone. But it's just a super contrarian GPP play. You need him to get the minutes. It's just the minutes are not there right now. There's always a chance he could get extended. But that's really what I think. I think he's strictly a GPP play. No, Millsap's a guy that I like at 4-7. And I know what's going to happen. I'm playing Millsap, and he's going to come out and play 15 minutes because that's Mike Malone. I absolutely hate Mike Malone. He's probably one of the worst coaches in the NBA. He was on pace. Millsap was on pace to play over 30 the first game. He played 32 the second game. I'm hoping we get those minutes. There's no guarantee because you saw it. Now, Utah, again, that was a different matchup. It was a little bit more small. He matched up better against this Clippers team, but there's still no guarantee with Mike Malone. I'm playing him. I'm hoping we get the 30 minutes. If we do, I think he's one of your better value plays at 4-7. I think he is. Gary Harris, he's playable, right? I mentioned him, Pat Beverly, JaMychal Green, and Robert Williams would be the really cheap guys that I would consider. He'll probably play 30 minutes. Low usage guy, but he can hit threes. The stat line last game was 13 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists. So, he's playable. And if you go back to the regular season, he's a guy that can get you, 25 to 30. That's probably a ceiling, but it's there. He just has to hit his threes. So I don't have an issue with Gary Harris. I think he's playable as a value option. Now, Monte Morris, I would rather get to Gary Harris personally. I feel more comfortable with his minutes, so I'm probably not going to get to Morris. I'm probably not going to get to Torrey Craig. I would rather take a shot in Harris and just hope he hits his threes. Because the minutes right now on both Craig and Monte Morris are not enough for me to consider unless you're just making 150 lineups, obviously. Mason Plumlee, so he would be obviously your top value play if Jokic is out. I assume, again, Jokic is going to play. So Plumlee probably gets 10 minutes if the game stays close and nothing happens to Jokic. Now, you could play Plumlee. Plumlee's a good point per minute guy. This is kind of the same thing I said with Ibaka. What you need is you need something to happen to Jokic. You need him to aggravate that wrist, or you need foul trouble. It's possible that Plumlee could break the slate, but you need something to happen to Jokic. The same thing with Ibaka. You need something to happen to Gasol. So if nothing happens, we'll get 10 minutes out of Plumlee. If the game blows out, probably closer to 15. But if something happens to Jokic, Again, Plumlee's a really, really good point per minute guy. So he's at least worth consideration at 3-3. And that's it. That's what I got for the breakdown today, guys. So let's get to some questions here. Scott Anderson of the Deeks. Oh, we're at close to 300 views. Again, if you guys enjoy the content, hit that like button. It really, really does help me out. Grant or Millsap? Right now, I prefer Millsap. Now, the minutes are a little bit more in question for him, but he's the better offensive player, and I think he will be their number 3 guy. So I would rather go to Millsap over Grant. Yeah, core. So I'm going to go with the 2 Toronto guards, like I have like the last 4 slates. Those 2. I'm taking the shot at Millsap. I am. I'm hoping I don't get screwed with Mike Malone. I think it's still possible, but if we get 30 minutes out of Paul Millsap at 4-7, I think he makes for a pretty decent value play. And then lastly, I'm going with Sweet Lou. I'm hoping he gets his 30 minutes at 5'8". He's a guy that has potential to break the slate. Right? The upside is there with Lou Williams, so that's the direction that I'm going. I know I full game stacked the first game the last couple times. I think that's still playable. Like, you can for sure full game stack Boston, Toronto, and hope for the blowout. Like, that's definitely a viable approach. If you do that, then guys you want to consider are probably Plumlee, Harrell, JaMychal Green. Like, those are the guys I would consider if you think the second game blows out, which is definitely possible. It is for sure possible. We saw it game 1. OG or Morris? Yeah, that's a really close one, right? I put those guys in similar groups. I think OG is slightly safer, I guess, because he's going to play more minutes. But yeah, both are very, very similar plays. Grant or Anunoby? I think I would rather take the shot at OG. But again, they're very similar, right? I put OG, Grant, Marcus Morris, Tice. I don't really have a strong take. So I would not be surprised if Grant outscores OG, but give me OG, I guess. Lou Williams and Ibaka or Kemba and Williams? Well, I wouldn't play Ibaka unless you're trying to get super contrarian. So, the first one is going to be low-owned, the first way. I don't really know what the rest of your lineup looks like. The second one is probably safer with Kemba and Robert Williams. Kawhi and Smart or Van Fleet and Siakam? Yeah, it's going to be Van Fleet and Siakam. I don't really like Marcus Smart in the slate. DK, PG and Gary Harris or Sweet Lou and Ibaka? Again, that's a tricky one. I think the safer option is just Paul George and Gary Harris right now. Like, the upside is there in Ibaka. It is, but you need something to happen to Gasol. If something doesn't happen to Gasol, like, I don't think Ibaka at 5'9" in 22 minutes can really break the slate. DK, do you like Walker, Van Fleet, Tatum, OG, Williams, Lou, Millsap, Zubac, and GPP? Yeah, it's a very similar approach to what I'm going with. I have the 2 Toronto guards, Tatum, but yeah, very, very similar to me. Lou will, yeah, okay, I already asked that, or answered that. Kemba and Time Lord or Brown and Gasol and Cash? I would just rather play Kemba and Time Lord. Even though the minutes are a little bit more in question for Robert Williams, I just feel more comfortable with Kemba. So yeah, great stuff, DK. Hey, appreciate that, man. PG or Kemba? It kind of depends how you're attacking the slate, I guess. Are you more stacking the first game? If that's the case, then go Kemba. If you're going a little bit of both, then probably Paul George looks a little bit better. Lou Williams, Ibaka, I already answered that. Smart or Ibaka? The safer play is Marcus Smart. The upside play is Ibaka, but again, you need something to happen to Gasol. So, again, your safe option is Marcus Smart, Paulie. If you want to get risky, it is Ibaka. Again, the upside is there, but you really need something to happen to Gasol. Lowry, Van Fleet, OG, Millsap, Gasol, Kemba, Tice, Lou Williams is my lineup. I think it looks good. How does this look, DK? Kemba, Van Fleet, Kawhi, OG, Williams, Harris, Grant, Morris. Don't have an issue with it. It's a little bit more risky, right? Because you're getting Kawhi will be low owned. I kind of like Kawhi as a contrarian play because not a lot of people are going to get to Kawhi Leonard. I think 20% ish. OG or Smart for his price. I think I would slightly prefer OG for the discount, right? OG's 5'7", Smart 6'5". Both are similar. Both are out there for the defense. Both will get the minutes, but you're getting almost $1,000 difference. I think I would slightly prefer OG to Marcus Smart. Why don't you play FanDuel? I mean, the reason why I didn't back then was because of the late swap, and now they do have late swap. It just, I don't know. I just prefer DK, I guess. mean, I could, I guess, play on both sites, but then, if something happens, like, what I don't want is like a late, or like something happens like a couple minutes before lock and I need to make a change, then I have to do it on both sites. Like, it's a little bit harder, right? Van Fleet, Tatum, Millsap, Williams, Lowry, Green, Gasol for GPP. Looks good. Do you like Lowry, Van Fleet, Tatum, Tice, Williams, Lou, Millsap, and Zubac? I do. Marcus Smart hitting 5 threes tonight. It's in the range out. It's possible, right? It's possible Marcus Smart could have a good game. You can play him. I don't think Marcus Smart's out of play. I'm not doing it. DK, how much money do you recommend playing these 2-game slates? I don't really know what your bankroll is, but I would play light, like pretty light. Like normally on main slates for NBA, NFL, I'll play somewhere between, I don't know, $250 to $500. On these 2-game slates, I'm playing like $50 to $100. So take it light. Thanks, DK. Yeah, no problem. What are you doing with all the crowns? 181,000. Going for the million? No, I don't know. I'll probably use him soon. People always ask me about that. I really want to take Dart Throw on Gary Harris, but I hate the fact that he doesn't get a single rebound or assist 30 minutes. That blows my mind. Yeah, I don't think we get that again. Like, I think he'll at least get a couple rebounds, maybe a couple assists. Like, Gary Harris is, again, the cheap value I consider is Harris, Robert Williams, Michael Green, Pat Beverly. No one really looks great, but Gary Harris is playable, 100%. I've got Lowry, Van Fleet, PG-13, Millsap, Rob Williams, Jaylen Brown, Michael Green, and Lou Williams. I think it looks good. I missed the beginning. Any update on Jokic? We have no update, but I fully expect him to play. Love Tatum at 23%. Yeah, so let's go over some ownership. I didn't really realize we're at lock. Did you win last night? You're at 300. No, I did not win. I played Marcus Smart, or not Marcus Smart. I played Alex Caruso over Rondo, and that killed me. Thanks, DK. You're the GOAT. Yeah, no problem. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Deeks. All right, let's go over some ownership. Van Fleet over 50%, Lowry 60%. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Yeah, this is in the $66 tournament I'm in. Lowry at 68%, Van Fleet 66%, Tatum 23%, Rob Williams 20%. That's what I got in this early game. I'm curious to see what else we got. I assume the ownership on all the Boston guys is going to be lower. OG's at 25%, Brown's at 34%. That is actually higher than I thought. I thought Jaylen Brown would be 20-ish%. 34% is a bit high. Kemba at 33%. I would rather have played Kemba over Jaylen Brown. But, yeah, then Siakam at 33%. Expected that, right? I told you guys, like, the ownership's going to be higher on both the Toronto guards. But it is double. Like, it's double the ownership in Lowry and Van Fleet compared to Siakam. Like, that's one, they're all pretty similar plays. Like, maybe I should just went with Siakam for the lower ownership. Let's see. Smart, 56. Yeah, so Smart was, I think he was a lot cheaper on FanDuel, and you do get more points for blocks and steals, right? You get 3 points for blocks and steals on FanDuel, which makes Smart look a lot better. Tice on DraftKings, 21%. Gasol, 28%. I'm just looking at some other ownership. Williams is only 23% owned. Yeah, I got him at 20%. It's a risk. I really hope that he gets closer to the 20 minutes. Because if that's the case, I think he can have a good day for his price. Yeah, Smart was a lot cheaper on FanDuel. I did hear that. Like, I think he was like low 5Ks or something like that. So obviously he looks a lot better there. Wanamaker picked up 1% ownership. Smart is 23%. Yeah, I'm okay getting away with that. Sure. Again, I think he needs one of those games where he has a lot of blocks and steals to really have the upside. But I'm seeing in most of these lineups a lot of Van Fleets, a lot of Lowry, and then some Boston guys mixed in, which is kind of what I expected here. I wish I could have faded Lowry. Yeah, I mean, with me seeing the ownership now of both Lowry and Van Fleet at like 66%, Siakam at 33%, I might have went Siakam for that ownership. Kemba and Tatum both 26%. Yeah, so I told you guys I'm playing Tatum. I know he's not the optimal play. I told you guys that, right? He's not optimal for his price, but I'm just really hoping that he has his upside game here because I've played him like the last 3 slates, and I don't want to get burned by fading him today and then he goes off because that's literally the worst feeling in the world. Rip the dude that played Wanamaker. Yeah, thanks always, DK, and thanks for the PGA vid tour last week. Helped a lot. Yeah, no problem, man. I cashed in PGA. Wasn't crazy, but I min cashed in the big tournament, $25 into 40. That's all I played. Had JT, Xander. They were both big. Patrick Reed, Finau, Neiman, and Answer. So yeah, it was a decent day for me for golf or weekend. Lowry 63% owned. I'm not really surprised. Yeah, I knew that the ownership was going to be high in both the Toronto guards. All Siakam does is spin in the post. I'm running Tatum, Kemba, and Lowry, VanVleet. Good luck, my guys. Yeah, any last minute questions, guys? I'll stay on for another couple minutes, but then I will get out of here. Yeah, really appreciate all you guys coming to check out the stream. Close to 300 viewers once again on a 2-game slate is, man, I'll take that all day. Play Wanamaker if you're playing Kemba and Tatum. Both get 3 fouls in the first quarter. Yeah. I love your late night video, by the way. I'll comment tonight. Oh, thanks, man. Leonard, my secret weapon today. Yeah, Kawhi is going to be low owned. Again, I like Kawhi, just you have to sacrifice a bit to get him in there. But you're going to get Kawhi at pretty low ownership. I would guess 20-ish% from Kawhi Leonard. If you look at the ownership in this game, you know he already is going to be low owned, right? Because you have both Toronto guards at like almost 70%. And the Boston guys like 20 to 30% owned. So there's not a lot of salary left over for Kawhi Leonard for most people. And again, I would say probably double the ownership at least with Paul George. So I wonder how low Norman Powell is. Yeah, I didn't see him. I haven't seen him yet. I would assume probably below 10%. Like there is still a possibility. Like Powell could break the slate. He needs to come out and shoot the ball well. He has not shot it well yet. But yeah. 3.9 for utility. Well, the first game's already locked, so I would say it has to be either Pat Beverly or Jamal Green. If Lowry and VanVleet bust, it's over for me. Well, if they bust, it's over for 70% of the people who played them both. I got a lot of Rob Williams. Let's hope Tyson's in foul trouble again. He didn't get in foul trouble the last game, though. He just got pulled early, which was a little bit weird, and then Rob Williams only played 2 minutes in the second half. I don't know. Powell, 15%. Okay. Yeah, 10, 15%. Again, he's playable. If something happens to one of the key Toronto guys, like if Lowry, VanVleet, OG, or Siakam, any one of those 4 guys get in foul trouble, like Powell's going to be the guy. Because Ibaka strictly backs up Gasol, and they run a 7-man rotation. So if anything happens to those first 4 guys, I think Powell is going to come in. So there's a shot he could play more minutes. You need foul trouble on one of those main guys, though. DK, I can't wait for the NFL. I am so excited for the NFL. Yeah, if you guys are interested in NFL content, I do already have an early look video as well as some more in-depth on the running back and wide receiver. I'm going to have a final look video probably in the next few days. I'll have a showdown video up maybe tonight or tomorrow for Thursday's showdown slate between the Chiefs and Texans. Favorite captain for Clippers, Nuggets. Give me Paul Millsap for the price. Hope he gets his minutes, and then jam in the stars. So probably jam in Jokic, maybe Kawhi, Paul George, and Lou Williams. I would say Millsap or Lou Williams. I like them the best of like the cheap options for having the most upside. I'm using Kawhi in my captain spot. Yeah, that's fine. Are you better at NBA and NFL? I think both are pretty even for me. Those are my top 2, obviously, and the 2 that are the most predictable sports-wise. Those are the 2 I played the most money in. Like I'll play golf, I'll play esports, but those are super high variance, whereas NBA, NFL are more predictable. Enes Kanter better not play. You better not. That would really kill me. Powell only 16%, 15%. Yeah. Let's see. Powell can outscore OG, no problem. Just hasn't been shooting well. I agree. He has to shoot the ball well. It's not been there, but he can. Thanks, DK. Good luck. Just looking at Thursday's showdown now. Kelsey as captain. It's tricky because I already looked at it. There's not a lot of great value, and I think you want to play both quarterbacks. So I don't know. I might go like both quarterbacks and like some cheaper wide receivers, but haven't really, obviously made my final decision yet on that. I will have a video up for it though soon. Once NFL starts, no more NBA for me. I'll still be playing NBA. I'll be playing both, but I will be playing more money in NFL because we're not getting 2-game slates like we are in NBA. All right, guys, I'm going to hop out of here. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll have a video up later tonight for the slate tomorrow.
So good luck tonight, guys, and I will see you all later.